All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and I've been going over the online PDF textbook AppInventor2, Create Your Own Android Apps by Wilbur, Abelson, Spertus, and Looney. And we're into Chapter 9. We're building a xylophone. And what I did during the break is, I think when you're all done, their xylophone will look like this. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with the way it looks, but it really doesn't look like a xylophone. So I played around a little bit and I've got this. A little more reminiscent of what a xylophone would look like. And don't worry, those buttons are down here. They just don't show on the screen. But if I bring them up in the emulator, you can see that it's all in here. Also, just so you know, you see there's a little space here. I put a 1 pixel label in between each one of these so there would be a little space in there. And you can see the play and the reset are in here. So I did that. As far as the names go, I named them low C note, D note, E note, F note, G note, A note, B note, and high C note. All right? And I don't know if that's exactly the way they want them in the book or not. I'm probably going to change the colors because I do want them pretty much to go with what's in the book. So they'll try to avoid some confusion. I did download the wave files also, just so you know. So we're supposed to change the background color of the first one to magenta. And notice they're doing a thing with the height. I didn't do it exactly the way that they did it. And the second one was supposed to be named D. Okay? So that was, first one was magenta. And the second one they actually made red, I guess. So again, I'm going to follow their color conventions, not to try to confuse you, because I've already done these, but I'm going to go back and redo them. So there's red. All right. It says later we will repeat these for the other 6 buttons. Well, I've already got mine all in there, so I'm a little bit ahead of the game. So the display on your phone should look similar, although there will not be any empty space. I put the empty space in by putting in those labels. We can't have a xylophone without sound, so drag in a sound component, which I've already done, leaving its name as sound 1. Change the minimal interval property from a default 500, which is half a second, to 0. This allows us to play the same sound as often as we want, rather than having to wait half a second between plays. Don't set its source property. We'll set that in the blocks editor. So we want the minimal interval to be set to 0 for our sound components. And again, we're not setting the source. Download the files, the wave files, 1 wave, 2 wave. There's actually 8 of them. I downloaded all of them. All right, so connecting the sounds from the button drawer, drag out the button 1 click block. All right, what they call button 1, I call play button. So for this play button that's right here, okay, let's go into the blocks editor, and for the play button, what we want to do is we want to say set sound1.source to 1 wave and call sound1.play. So that's setting the source, and then we were supposed to call sound1.play. Here we go. Now I can cheat a little bit here by duplicating. Okay, and now we will change this from sound 1, which is, no, I'm sorry, that's what we want, but we'll change this to 2.wave and sound1.play. All right, let's see if it works. It does not. So did we miss something? Well, let's look. Drag out the button1.click block from the sound drawer. Drag out the sound1 source block, placing it in the button1 click block. That's what I did. We could do the same thing for button 2 as it says, but it would be awfully repetitive, and that's correct. In fact, what I'm going to do, I made this harder than it had to be. Let's remove these two. All right, we'll leave it there for right now. Now let's go back. Okay, we're going to make some changes to it. We're going to get it to play. All right. So we could do this, as the author says, we literally could come in here and copy this whole block. All right, and it's not play button we want. What we want in here is this one, which is button low C note play. So we should change that. Okay, so when we click that, that song plays. So now let's see if it works. There we go. Okay, so we could copy this whole thing 8 times, but it would be a lot of repetitive code. So what the author says in here is, instead of doing this, it says repeated code is a good sign. You should create your own procedure, as we did back in chapter 5, I think it was, for the mole mesh program. So we're going to create our own procedure right now. So we'll drag that out. We're going to give it a parameter, which will naturally be called X, or by default, we're going to change it to number, and we're going to build it so it looks like this. So instead of having all of these, we're going to have a play note, where we're going to join together the number.wave and then call it. Then we'll be able to call play note with number 1 for button 1, number 2 for button 2, etc. So let's do that. Again, I'm going to come in here, and as I have been doing, I'm going to do a print screen. Come out to here. That was my picture of a xylophone. Let's go in. Okay, not sure exactly what happened there. That's what we want. Okay, we'll come back to that in just a minute. Let's go back to here. So this is going to change in just a minute. We want to come in and create a procedure right there. And that procedure will be called, what was it called? Play note? All right. Play note. All right, and we want to give it a parameter. Right there, but instead of calling it X, we want to call it number. All right. And we want to come in here and set our sound1 source. And we're going to set it to a join. And what we're going to join together here is get number plus dot wave. So 1 dot wave, 2 dot wave, etc. So right here we want get number. And we want to add to that a text block that says dot wave. Dot W-A-V. Now, we want to change this one, which we already know works, but we want to change it so it looks like this. Call play note with a number 1. So we want to remove this. And now we want to go to procedures and call play note. And the number that we want here is the number 1. So I'll come over to math with a 1. Now, if this works, it should still play the same sound that it played before. So let's try that. And it's not playing. Oh, that's the wrong button. Yeah, no, that's right. Button low C note. Call play note with a number 1. I think that's correct. Oh, I didn't call sound1.play. All right. So I said it, I just didn't tell it to play it. So now let's check. There we go. All right, now we can come in and hopefully we can do this very quickly. So let's duplicate. And our second one here, so it went low C, then D, E, F, G. So this will be D. This will be E. Then F. Then G. All right, that's 5. And then we need A, B, and high C. All right, so let's go back to our emulator. Again, I'm not doing it in the order they're doing it in the book, but let's see if all 8 notes play. Well, there's good news and bad news. They all play, but they're all playing the same note. All right, so something is a little goofed up on there. So we'll have to check that, because it at least sounded to me like they were all playing the same note. Sound 1 source choice, get number. Ah, that's right, because this will have to change to 2, and to 3, and to 4, to 5, to 6, to 7, and to 8. All right, now let's check it out. All right, it sounded a little sour. I might have mixed up the order in which I put in a couple of those. We'll check that out in just a bit. All right, but the point is we now have sound through all 8 of our buttons. Our xylophone is coming together. I think what I'm going to do, yeah, it's a good time. I'm going to stop right here. And when I come back, I'm going to kind of explain and show you why I did it a little bit differently than the way they've done it in the book. So I'll be back with that in just a minute.